Lord Tremendous here, and I got another battle report here for you. This is a 2,000-point battle, Warriors of Chaos versus the most incompetent Wood Elves I've ever encountered. Maybe it has something to do with their attire, but this was a wild battle that went one way really fast. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see the carnage. Here's my list, and there's a little bit of a tweak change to it, but nothing crazy. I still have my Sorcerer Lord, Lord Tremendous. He's still my general. He's on a Chaos Chariot, level 4 Wizard with Battle Magic. Mark Zinch, Favor of the Gods. I left the Infernal Puppet on him with the Spell Familiar Ruby Ring Ruin. Pretty much the same kit out for both my Sorcerer Lords. Here's my second one, still on a Chariot. This one's Undivided, level 4 with Demonology, Spell Familiar, Tome of the Dark Gods, Favor of the Gods, and the Rod of Damn. Absolutely no change to this part of my list. My core sees a little bit of a change. I now have 7 Chaos Warhounds with Armored Hide. Just had the points and nowhere else to put them. And then, of course, the Chaos Knights are the same. Full Command Lances, Icon of Darkness, Brazen Collar, and the Mark of Khorne. And the second unit of Chaos Knights, Full Command, Lances, Rampaging Banner, Brazen Collar, and the Mark of Khorne. So the only difference here is my Chaos Warhounds. Specials where the bigger changes are, and here I have my Dragon Ogre, Shartak, Great Weapon, and the Blackened Plate, because it's my favorite kit on one of these guys. And I have a second Dragon Ogre, who's a Shartak, Great Weapon, and Heavy Armor. He's only got a 3-up, but I just like having a couple of Dragon Ogres running around with Great Weapons beating the crap out of targets of opportunity. In my rare, I still have the gigantic spawn of Chaos, and he's a spawn of Khorne. That's probably never going to change. I really love this model. Great monsters. And then I added a Hell Cannon. I wanted to try it. I thought they were cool. I know they can explode. I like the idea that it's a monster and handlers instead of a war machine, so I can charge with it if something gets too close or too greedy, I guess. And I also like that everything that it hits, it does D3 wounds to. And it's strength 5, strength 10, so it's not a slouch. It's really expensive. You do pay for what you get, though, and I can respect that. I just wanted to try it out. So I threw it in the list, and, well, you're going to see how it goes. My opponent was my Wood Elf opponent, Wrathgar, and he's tweaked this list a little bit. He's Glade Lord Jimmy Ray Barkbiter at 295 points. This is general. He's on a Warhawk. He has a great weapon, and then he's got a massive stuff. Arcane Bodkins, Befuddlement of Mischiefs, and he's equipped with the Bow of Lauren, Armor of Meteoric Iron, and a Talisman of Protection. He brought a Shadow Dancer this time, who was a level 1 wizard with using illusion, and has the Spear of Loic, which is incredibly dangerous. And he had an annoyance of netlings because, Shadow Dancers aren't hard enough to hit. Then he had his Spellweaver, Skeeter Sapsucker. She was on an Elven Steed, a level 4 wizard with Elementalism, had the Oakenstaff and the Ruby Ring of Ruin. She also had a Resplendence of Luminescence, which I just don't even like saying that. He had 559 points in core, which consisted of 2 units of 9x Deepwood Scouts, all with Hagbane tips. 10 Glade Guard with Hagbane tips and a Musician, and 7 Glade Riders with Hagbane tips, Reserve Move, Cav Spears, and a Musician. Rounding out his army was 726 points in specials, starting with 5 Sisters of the Thorn. They had full command. There was 3 Treekin, 9 War Dancers with full command and additional hand weapons, and then 2 units of Wild Riders, both with light armor shields and hunting spears. Here are my spells. My general got Fireball, Blue Flame, Arcane Urgency, Pillar of Flame, and the Curse of Cowardly Flight. And my backup level 4 got the Summoning, Blue Flame, Fleshy Abundance, Gathering Darkness, and Demonic Vigor or Demonic Vessel. I can't remember which. For his Spellweaver, my opponent got Travel Mystical Pathways, Earthen Ramparts, Plague of Rust, and Tree Singing. His Shadow Dancer got Glittering Robes, and his sisters got Pillar of Flame. Here's deployment, and like I said, I'm trying not to Hell Cannon, so I threw him over in the woods just in case the elves decided to get frisky. He's got really long range, so it was totally fine. He's way over there on my left flank, right next to the dogs, who honestly are just going to try to run interference to anything. I'm worried about the Treekin, honestly, trying to get in there, so figure I'd buy him a turn to shooting before I'd have to go in. The Chaos Spawn is right there, looking to just kind of, again, block for the Hell Cannon because I'm hoping that it does a lot of damage. I've got my level 4, I believe my, not my general, my other one right there in the center, next to my Chaos Knights, next to my not 2-up armored save dragon ogre next to my other chaos knights with the banner of what was it, the icon of darkness. The banner of rage is in the guys in the center. My general is on the right there because I screwed up which was which because they all look alike. And then my 2-up, 3-up, well, against flaming dragon ogre is on the right flank. The idea is just to swarm them and get into them as quick as I can, using my magic missiles to kill all the big threats like wild riders and stuff like that as quick as possible. That's about it there. My opponent on the other side, on our left, he's got some scouts on the left side next to the treekin, next to wild riders. On the other side of the house are his other unit of scouts. The other unit of wild riders, his glade guard with his spell weaver, are kind of behind them in the woods. In the woods are his guard. Behind them is his general on a warhawk named Broken Wrists. And then behind them are the Ward Dancers with the Shadow Dancer, and on the right side there are the Sisters of the Thorn. This is going to be a pretty good fight. Here's top of one after movement, and I mean, come on, I'm playing Warriors of Chaos. Subtlety against Wood Elves? That's knifier talk. I don't know. No, we move forward. We shoot forward for the most part. I did back off a little bit in my center because I didn't want to give his Wild Riders an easy charge. I can't counter charge, and it's a lot. It's like 15 strength 5 attacks. I'm not giving him an easy victory. These are regular Chaos Knights with a 3-up armor and no ward. So, I mean, I'm aggressive. I'm not stupidly aggressive most of the time. But yeah, basically everything on the right flank there moves up as far as it can without giving the Wild Riders a charge. It does put me in range with all my magic missiles, though, and that's really where the strength lies. The spawn on the right side, when I rolled to see how far he would go, I literally rolled 3 ones. So instead of moving up 3 inches and possibly blocking line of sight for my cannon, I was just like, is 3 inches really worth it? No, it's not, despite what everybody might tell you. No. So he just stood right there. And then the dogs just moved up a little bit. They wheeled just to, like I said, block anything that might try to threaten a Hell Cannon. That's it. In the shooting phase, I start off with the Hell Cannon because, to be perfectly honest, I was excited to use it. I passed my leadership, last phase, so I'm excited about that. And I fire off at the Wild Riders because they're in range, and I can see them. It deviates and it ends up hitting a little bit of everything over here, but the only thing I end up wounding and killing is a Glade Rider. So not super great, but hey, I killed an elf, so we'll take it. They all pass their panic checks, no problem. My sorcerer right here unloads their magic missiles into the Wild Riders, and despite, their saves, I wipe out the entire unit, which felt really, really good. I didn't need all my magic missiles to take out the Wild Riders, so I fired my last one off at the guard, and I think I killed 3, maybe 4 of them. They passed their panic check already, so they couldn't care less. Little bonus about that, when he tried to dispel that, he actually miscast thanks to the Infernal Puppet, and he miscast 3, which, that's a good one. He puts that big honkin' template down, and he hits the caster, and he gets 2 partials on the other Wild Riders. Neither of the partials hit, so she's the only one that takes the wound, and it does go through. So that was a nice little bonus. Lots of wounds this turn. With no combat, we go over here to bottom of turn 1, and the elves do what they do. They started doing their agile dancing stuff. The Wild Riders on the left flank and the Treekin kind of move up to threaten my caster and my knights. The scouts just kind of stay still because they really don't need to move a whole lot. They want to shoot at the giant chaos spawn, so why not? And then on the right side there, for the most part, everything starts piling over into the corner. I didn't fully understand that, but at the same time, I was a little worried. He did get Plague of Rust off on my 2-up armor save Dragon Ogre and started threatening me real serious with the War Dancers. I had a plan, but as you've seen if you've watched any of my battle reports, my plans and reality rarely see eye to eye. So you'll see how that goes in just a second. But yeah, that's what the board looks like after his movement. In some crazily underwhelming shooting from everything that pretty much can, the Dragon Ogre catches a lot of attention, but only 1 wound gets through, even with Plague of Rust on him. It was, my opponent's rolling really shockingly bad. On the other side of the board, though, those scouts take shots at my knights and drop 1. I mean, he was the weakest of the group, but still, the audacity. It's still too early for combat against elves, so we go over here to top of turn 2, and yeah, again, really no point in subtlety. On the left side there, obviously the Hell Cannon just stays put. I passed another leadership check, couldn't tell you why or how, but it worked. I decide that my dogs really aren't going to have to redirect anything because I'm seeing the way he's moving, and so I just decide I'm going to save their points and start backing them off. The Chaos Spawn fires forward. He literally missed the Treekin by an inch. If I had rolled one better, I'd have been in combat with him. Thing's a beast. My sorcerer on the chariot backed off, and my knights just kind of reformed to face the wild riders. I don't want to get into that combat yet. I brought magic missiles for a reason. That being said, my dragon ogre shoots forward to threaten the what's it called? The scouts that are in the middle there, and I know his wild riders could charge him, but it's a far charge, and I plan on dumping a lot of magic missiles on him. I made sure I was out of range of his caster, so I'm feeling pretty confident. And if he does charge the Dragon Ogre and get into the flank, he'll challenge. I don't remember if there's a unit champion in there. I don't think I knew at the time, but now that I think about it, there isn't, so we probably would have just been eviscerated. My other knight's turn to really put some pressure on the unit in the right side corner there. My general backs up just a little bit so that he can't be easily charged by the Ward Dancers, or at all, I believe. The Dragon Ogre does back up as well. I tried to cast Arcane Urgency on him and failed. I just didn't roll high enough. So he's like 9.5 inches away from him, which is not the easiest charge for infantry to make, but not impossible. And yeah, that's it for movement. So we start off shooting with the Hell Cannon because you always want to start with a bang. And the hilarious part is I fired at his general on the Warhawk because he was in the woods. I could see him. I'm like, hey, he does D3 wounds. Let's see what happens. I deviate 10 inches onto the Ward Dancers. Fate, it seems, wants the Ward Dancers as dead as I do. I mean, it's not an incredible hit or anything like that, but it's a solid, full hit and a partial. I didn't get a picture of it, but the partial does hit. I wound with both. 2 of the War Dancers get picked up, and then Lord Tremendous unleashes with his magic missiles into the remaining War Dancers. I think there was 7 after the Hell Cannon hit, and decimates the entire unit. Everything around was fine. Nobody cared. Nobody panicked. I mean, he made his leadership checks, but holy crap. He lit his elven hatred flow through him to such wonderful effect. And not to be overshadowed, the Sorcerer Lord over here opens up with his flaming attacks into the Treekin and snuffs the life out of all of them. Put a lot of wounds through on them and took away their regen, so that was nice. There's still no combat, so we go to the bottom of turn 2, and after movement, there's going to be some combat. On the left side there, his Wild Riders charge into the gigantic Chaos Spawn and make it no problem. His scouts pretty much just stay over there where they've been. However, the other unit of scouts move behind the hill so that the Dragon Ogre doesn't turn them into dinner. The rest of the guys in the right flank, they stay pretty much tight up in there, just kind of consolidating and everything, while his general on the Warhawk charged my knights. All I could do is stand because they're frenzied, so it is what it is. I am toying with sending Lord Tremendous in there into the flank if they're still around next turn. I don't know yet. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. And his Shadow Dancer charges into my Dragon Ogre on the right flank. That's pretty much it for movement. So quite literally nothing happens in the shooting phase. His dice rolls are terrible. And if you don't believe me, we go into combat, and his Shadow Dancer with Plague of Rust on my Dragon Ogre fails to do any wounds. Not because I'm rolling my saves, because he literally fails to wound. I think he hits twice, literally only hits twice, and then he rolls Snake Eyes to wound. This is not my opponent's fault. This 150% should have gone a different way, but the dice gods and these redneck elves have decided no. Being the gentleman that the Dragon Ogre is, he takes that massive great weapon hammer and beats the failure out of the Shadow Dancer, sending him to the next life so that maybe he can be reincarnated as a success. I doubt it. Of course, I overrun because what gentleman ogre wouldn't? We go over to his general's combat versus my knights. I sacrifice what I thought was sacrifice my unit champion. He flubs spectacularly. spectacularly. These guys aren't even Nurgle, they're Khorne, so it's not like I'm making him reroll 6s or anything like that. Just fails to hit and wound with everything. In turn, I do wound him, but he makes all of his saves. I have a banner and close order. He has nothing. He loses by 2. The elf Glade Lord, he chuckles a little bit, strings his banjo, and then backs off 2 inches. Makes his leadership check. I'm frenzied, so I have to pursue, and we follow up, and we're right here. Not what I was expecting to have happen. This elf the Glade Lord has a great weapon, for crying out loud. Over here, his Wild Riders do significantly better, considering they put 3 wounds on me, I do 2 wounds to him, and I have close order. They don't, and so I believe it is 3-3. We are dead even, and so we just stand there and continue to try to pummel the crap out of each other. So that was a lot of fun, and here's top of turn 3 after movement. My Dragon Ogre did try to charge the sisters, and I believe he failed, so he only moved up like an inch or 2. My Sorcerer Lord, my General anyway, he moves up a little bit just to get in range. It's time to start just taking out elves. There's no reason to charge at the moment. The Dragon Ogre, he's stopped from charging anything because he just can't see with the wood, so he just kind of reforms and then moves up 3 or 4 inches. My Sorcerer Lord on the chariot in the center moves over to start threatening the guys in the corner. I am in range of the scouts on the left side with my magic missiles, and since chariots have 360 line of sight, that'll be easy. My Spawn is already in combat. My dogs continue to reserve their points. And if you look, you're going to notice something missing. It's subtle. It's hard to see, but you remember the Hell Cannon? The Hell Cannon, it's actually done very minimal but okay work so far. Yeah, I fail his leadership check, and then I roll a 1. He explodes into a trillion pieces and kills 2 of the dogs for my trouble. The dogs actually are okay. They passed their leadership check, so there is that, I guess. But yeah, 215 points gone because of a leadership check. The Hell Cannon was cool. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful model. It was a lot of fun. And it did kill like 3 models. But is it really worth it in a game where the meta really doesn't see a lot of rank and file, like big bricks, where it'd be more useful? I don't think so. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it enough, I think, that I'm going to include it in my armies from now on. Magic does not go my way this turn. I'm rolling low, and he's stopping a lot of my spells. He's got the Oaken Staff over here. But I do power 1 through, and I target the guard, and I break him down to 4. So something happened, but in the center, nothing. I either rolled too low, things were out of range, or it just wasn't destiny. So we go into combat, and Big Gribbly weathers all their attacks. They're not able to wound him because, again, my opponent is rolling terribly. And while I'm not able to heal any of his wounds with the 1 attack from the Gnashing Bite, he does kill all the remaining Wild Riders, and that's phenomenal because you know he's got to overrun. And he does. He doesn't go super far, maybe 8-9 inches, but it's definitely enough for the scouts to know they're in a lot of trouble. We go to the combat with his general, and this time he is able to kill my unit champion, but he only gets 1 wound through. I have banner in close order to his 1 wound. I win by 1. He makes his save, and we have to pursue because we're still frenzied. Although it was just barely good, I am touching the corner of the sorcerer, so if he gets away next round, I'm not going to be able to pursue. That takes us over here to bottom of turn 3, and the Wood Elves do what they do, guerrilla fight. His scouts on the left flank there, they start moving away a little bit. Not far enough that they can't shoot, but trying to make any kind of, random movement a little bit more difficult. With 18 to 20 of these scouts getting ready to shoot at the giant spawn, there's a chance that they're going to be able to kill him. They all have poison attacks. I've only got a 5-up armor, so it's not a bad plan. The rest of his stuff in the corner there, they just kind of stretch out a little bit, getting ready to put whatever hot death they can into what's coming after them, and that's pretty much it for movement. In the shooting phase, all of his redneck scouts fire at my Big Gribbly, and 1 wound gets through, bringing him up to 4. Not enough to kill him. They're in some trouble now. That brings us over to combat because literally nothing else happens in the shooting phase. And it happens again. He's able to kill 1. I do a bunch of wounds to him, but he makes all of his saves. He did a wound. I have banner in close order. He loses by 1. And I think he just gives ground. He makes his save, he gives ground, and we have to pursue. With that, we go over here to top of 4 after movement, and Big Spawn makes it into the scouts, so they're SOL. My knights in the center did charge his scouts behind the hill. They were in my forward arc, and I had line of sight. They're frenzied. I had no choice. I had to charge, and I failed. They did stand and shoot. They didn't do anything either. My Sorcerer Lord on the chariot in the middle there, I needed to get closer and have line of sight to his stuff so I could start firing off my magic missiles. So I sent him into the woods, past his dangerous terrain, so now he's got cover, which is kind of cool. And my Dragon Ogre that was near the woods charged into the flank of his general, figuring with +2 combat res, 3 with the flank, maybe he can issue a challenge and decimate this damn general already. We'll see how that goes. And then my other general, he moves up to try to get some spells off and kill more elves. That's it for movement. Oh, and for the record, my Dragon Ogre did charge the sisters. I think they fired and fled, and they were fine. So they got away, and he's like an inch away from him. I just missed catching him, which is too bad. So anyway, nothing happens in the shooting phase. His sorcerer, or the spell weaver, just decides no magic is getting through. I either rolled too low, or she just flat out stopped it. The Oaken Staff is tough to beat. So we go into combat. My Dragon Ogre issues a challenge. He takes a wound, but I have banner, close order, flank to his 1 wound. I win by 2, and all he does is give ground. He makes his leadership check. I wish I made leadership checks the way he did. I can't even make it for a friggin' Hell Cannon on a 9. And he's making it at -1, -2, like it's going out of style. Oh well, everybody follows up. In the combat with the giant spawn, yeah, no scout was spared. They do end up, I think they end up breaking, and he pursues. They go off the table. He chases him off table, ends up right there. He'll be back. He was not able to hit with his Gnashing Maw, so he didn't heal a wound, but still, he's done really, really well this game, and he's going to eat a lot of leftovers afterwards. Such a good boy. And yeah, here we are in the bottom of turn 4. Not a ton. His scouts move a little bit further behind the house so they don't get charged by the knights again. And his Glade Riders with his Weaver move up to try to put some hot death onto, I don't know, one of my sorcerers, maybe the Dragon Ogre. I'm not really sure. His sisters stay completely still, confident that they'll be able to kill him, and that's about it. We go into the shooting phase, and credit where it's due. The sisters throw their little sticks at him and do another wound, which is poopy. And then the Glade Rider's shooting, maybe combined with a spell from his Spell Weaver, puts another wound through on him. So he's hanging on by a thread. We go over into combat, and oh, it is not a good turn to be a Dragon Ogre. He ends up doing 5 wounds to my Dragon Ogre. I don't know what happened. He just turned it on. I still have a banner in close order, but oh man, he wins by 3. But thanks to the general being right there and being leadership 9 due to the cheater chart, or Gaze of Gods as some of you more sophisticated people call it, they actually make their check. So they just give ground 2 inches, and they're not frenzied anymore, but they're not run down. I'll take it. It's coming down to it. Here's top of 5 after movement. And yeah, I start to realize that the Knights probably aren't going to hold on. Like, whatever grace they had in order to ensure they could face off against his general is starting to wane a little bit. Also, his Glade Riders are exposed. So both of my Sorcerer Lords and Chariots turn to look at him. I don't care if the sisters charge. Let them charge. I will happily beat them up. But we both turn to face the Glade Riders because we figure combined shooting, even though they do have Earthen Ramparts on, maybe we can finish them off. My other unit knights say, screw going around the house. We're going after the Glade Riders or the Glade Lord if my knights end up getting run down. And Big Gribbly comes back on the table, and he moves around towards the scouts that are behind the house. That's really it for my movement. We go into shooting, and both chariots just unload on the Glade Riders, and we kill all but one, and we put another wound on the Weaver. So she knows she's probably dead, but not for sure yet. And you know what? She deserves it. Nothing else happens in shooting, so we go into combat, and his general is able to kill one more knight. I still have banner and close order. I win by 1. And while he does kind of break, he falls back in good order, he doesn't like flee, which really sucks. My knights do try to pursue, but I run into the Sorcerer Lord right there in the corner. I mean, it was like the perfect pixel perfect hit. So I had to stop. He gets away, and then of course, since it's fall back in good order, he immediately rallies and turns to face. Not ideal, but I mean, honestly, this overall wearing Glade Lord really isn't super intimidating or anything like that. So bring it on, you little sissy. This is bottom of turn 5, and yeah, so he heard what I said, and the sissy brought it on. They got Plague of Rust off on my general, and then his general charges into the flank of mine, and it's like, oh, well, poo. His Glade Rider and remaining Spellweaver move into the woods, and his sisters decide they don't want any of that noise. They come around the woods to, I don't know, shoot at something, maybe get Pillar of Fire off. And then the scouts that are behind the hill move further away so that my poor Gribbly has no chance of getting a hold of him. That's it for movement. Oh, it finally happens. In the shooting phase, the scouts, desperate to save their own pathetic lives, fire everything they have. I think one threw their actual bow at my chaos spawn and got the 2 wounds through, murdering the sweet, innocent, gigantic spawn of Khorne Chaos. Bastards. We go into combat. He does a wound to me. I actually do a wound to him. He's got wound in a flank. I've got wound in close order. We are completely even, and we stay perfectly still. All right, we're really moving now, but here's top of 6 after movement, and there's not a lot of movement. I do move my chariot towards the scouts a little bit just for some fun. I need to be able to see the Glade Riders in order to get my magic missiles off, because I want those points. That's really it. I leave the knights right where they are. The other knights just kind of move away from the combat so I don't have to take a panic check. And yeah, it's brutal, but if I can just hold out a couple more rounds of combat, maybe I'll survive. Go over to shooting, and my level 4 sorcerer that's not in combat is able to see, as you can tell right here, and fired off a bunch of magic missiles, finishing off the Spellweaver and her little buddy. It felt good to be bad. I have another magic missile up my sleeve, so I fire it off at the scouts and kill, let's see, there's 6 left, so I killed 3 of them, which was awesome. They do pass their panic check, no problem. And for you sharp-eyed viewers, yes, I have 2 wounds on my sorcerer chariot because moving through the woods is really dangerous when you're in a chariot. I failed my dangerous terrain and took 2 wounds for my trouble. So, yeah, sorry, forgot to mention that earlier. We go into combat, and he fails to do anything to me, literally can't wound me. Not that I made saves, he just didn't make me make any saves. He's rolling that terrible. In return, I don't get my spell off, not because he stops it, but because I can't roll high enough to cast the stupid thing at a +4. I don't do any wounds to him, not because I failed to wound, but because he's making his saves for some reason. In the end, I have close order, he has flank, neither of us can carry a tune, so we stay right where we're at. That takes us to bottom of turn 6, and there's not a whole lot of movement. The scouts stay still, and the sisters move up to try to finish off the knights to gather up those points. That's it. Everything else is deader in combat. The horrible, evil, disgusting Sisters of the Thorn who are attacking nobody. In fact, they murdered a Dragon Ogre for no reason, throw their stupid sticks, and kill 2 more of my knights. They make their panic check, but they didn't do anything to them. This was uncalled for. And then the Rambo-trained Deepwood Scouts fire their shots at the remaining 2 knights and get 2 wounds through. They do 2 wounds, and I failed to save either of them. And yeah, my unit of knights is destroyed. They did so well against the Glade Lord, only to be stapled to the ground by some ugly sisters and some Rambo Scouts. Where's the justice? We go into combat, and it's another flubfest. He literally fails to wound me. He can't do any wounds, and then he saves all the wounds that I do to him. Granted, Lord Tremendous only has, -1 to AP, but holy crap. He's got a flank, I've got close order, neither of us can carry a tune, and we stand perfectly still. And there it is. There's the end of the game. And I ended up winning this one. It was, he got 786 out of me. I got 1424 out of him. So it was a pretty solid victory considering. My characters are okay. My big unit of knights are okay. And my warhounds were okay. He got everything else, but the dragon ogres are, under 100. The spawn's 165. I gave him the hell cannon. And he got a unit of knights, but he didn't get the banner because he stapled them to the ground. In the end, the only thing I didn't get out of him were his sisters, his Deepwood Scouts, and his general. I got everything else. So, yeah, that was a crazy, crazy game, but really good, really fun, and I got to kill a lot of knife ears, so I'm excited to get into the recap. So that went pretty well if you're not an elf. My opponent was rolling horribly this game. His Warhawk Rider especially, like, could hit, couldn't wound, but he could make his saves. He was a glutton for punishment, just not dishing it out. These were not the same Wood Elves my Tomb Kings fought. These were some backwater elves, let me tell you. My opponent referred to them as redneck elves, hence some of the pictures you've seen. And yeah, just a lot of incompetence there. When the Wood Elf trees don't branch, there might be an issue. My magic missile list, I'm enjoying that. Having so many to throw at them, even though not all of them are getting through, they still did really well, especially against the elves in this game. I was able to get the Wild Riders taken care of before they could threaten anything, which was really nice. I feel like maybe I'm missing a little close combat punch. I'm not sure if I really need any more. I kinda want to see what I can do. Bottom line though, it feels really good to be playing Warriors of Chaos again. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. And I've been eyeballing Demon Princes. I don't have a loadout or a kit or a strategy with them quite yet, but they're just so awful. But I miss having a Demon Prince, and I want to see if I can make it work. Need more test elves, so go on, you little redneck bastards, breed faster. Many a Wood Elf was laid low this game and offered up to the skulls of the Skull Throne for the great dark gods. Corn, but, you know, let's be honest, I'm still a pretty avid follower of Siege. In this one, though, I didn't get any more Glade Lords or Forest Dragons, but I did add another Spell Weaver to the list. No Spell Singers, but I added my first Shadow Dancer, and you know, you always remember your first. In core, 12 more Deepwood Scouts were thrown into the pile, along with 10 Glade Guard and 7 Glade Riders, which are bringing my totals up to be quite respectable. In Special, I wasn't able to get a hold of the Sisters, they're slippery as hell. I was able to chop down the Treekin, adding my total to 5, or increasing my total anyway to 5, which is pretty awesome. And 10 more Wild Riders, done with magic missiles for the most part, and I feel really good about that. No Warhawk Riders or Rangers were present, so I couldn't add them to the pyre. 9 War Dancers, though. That was good. That was really good. Those things scared the hell out of me to this day. And of course, in Rare, there was nothing, so nothing got added there. Tomb King list is still a little sparse. One day I'll run into them because, you know, the Dark Gods like skulls from all different categories of life. Just a quick reminder of the Chaos Dwarves and Orcs and Goblins I've killed in the past, as well as the Demons and Warriors of Chaos. Not the good Warriors of Chaos, the bad ones, the ones that needed to die. And that's another one in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And as always, thanks!